Hi gang, Rob here. It is the evening of 28th September 2023. It's Thursday night, 9 o'clock, time for a knife sale on the Apostle P channel, and that is exactly what we have. Before we get into the thick of it, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. First up, I need you to be familiar with and agreeable to the terms of the sale. I'm going to post them on the screen for you in just a moment. I'll also reprint them in the description underneath this video so you can peruse them at your leisure. Also, in the terms of the sale, up at the very top, you're going to see 3 links to previous videos on the channel. The first one is entitled A Primer for Buyers. That is a 38-minute expanded explanation of the terms of the sale. So especially if you're new to this weekly sales event, you're going to want to watch that video so you can understand exactly how we do things and why during this weekly sales event, because it might be a little different than your normal knife purchase experience. The second link is pertinent if you are a potential consignor. If you'd like to move along some of your collection using this weekly sale, it's called FAQs for Consignors, and it explains how this process all works from the consignor's perspective. And then the third link, as always, is to my rates and services video for the TheApostleP Knife Service, the original precision sharpening service for the online knife community. So in the all-important video description, you have those 3 links at the top, then the terms of the sale in the middle, and at the bottom, the reason you all came here tonight, the list of tonight's inventory, complete with timestamps on the left, pricing on the right. In the pricing column, you'll generally see 2 numbers. The first is the price of your knife as shown in the video. The one on the right is the price of your knife as sharpened by the TheApostleP Knife Service. No next day sharpening this week, and you're looking at about a month if you would like your knife to be sharpened. So, if you see the word sold in lieu of pricing in the far right hand column, that means that particular knife has been bought and paid for by its new owner, so no need to send an inquiry about anything marked sold. I believe that's it for the housekeeping portion of tonight's video. Let's get the terms up on the screen for you, and then we'll be right back with the sale. Here are the terms. All right, let's get to it, shall we? First up, we got a few leftovers from last week at some screaming deals. The first one comes to us from the Benchmade Knife Company. It is the 748 Narrows. Interesting knife, I must say. So it comes with this nicely milled titanium handle, blue anodized hardware, including the short deep carry clip. Look at the thinness of this knife. It's got kind of an interesting axis lock. I believe it is using an Omega spring, but the trigger buttons kind of ramped and tapered, easy to get on. Ball bearing pivot. The blade is crafted of Bowler M390, saber ground drop point, 3 3/8 inches of blade length, nice and thin, probably 3/32 stock. The handle length is 4 5/8. Lockup is super solid, and the ball bearing pivot works flawlessly. The centering on this one's perfect. Condition like new in the box. Benchmade map pricing for this one, $522 at your favorite online knife purveyor. Sold listings on eBay for this knife doing between $410 and $475. We ran this one last week at $425, got no takers, dropped it to $395 for the weekend. It's still here. Your price this week, $375. So if you've been on the fence about this knife and you were waiting for a good price to pop up on the secondary market, here's your knife. $375 like it is, $405 with an Apostle P edge. Benchmade, 748 narrows. Next up, have one from Smith & Sons. High quality folding knives. Established MMXI, I believe that's 2011. So Smith & Sons, a brand that I think started out by having a special factory order from GEC, now is doing some different sourcing, and this Mudbug is an example of that. It's the SMLB2103B Mudbug in tobacco burlap micarta, a large sodbuster, you might say. 4 11/16 inches of closed length, and then you have a 3 9/16 blade in D2, nice stonewash, a lockback mechanism, adjustable pivot, it is rock solid, nice hydraulic action. Centering is going to be a little off to the left. We'll call this one near mint in box. So when I looked at a couple web retailers, they list this as country of origin USA. I believe they're assembled here from parts sourced from across the globe. So these are out of stock. When they were available, they were $185 web retail. We ran this one last week at $140. Didn't sell. Dropped it to $120 last weekend. It's still here. Let's do $100 like it is, and then $125 if you'd like it with an Apostle P edge. That is the Smith & Sons Mudbug. Next up, we have one from Kizer. It's going to come in an unidentified pouch, no factory packaging. It is the KI 3490 T1 designed by Uli Henneke. A pretty nice looking titanium frame lock, I gotta say. Beautifully machined, beautifully glass bead blasted. A steel inserted titanium frame lock with a milled titanium clip that'll be right hand tip up carry. Titanium back spacer that also has the lanyard hole in it. We have thumb stud deployment on both sides. And we got a ball bearing pivot. There is your Uli Henneke maker's mark and the T1 model designation. S35VN is your blade steel, 3 1/4 is your blade length, 4 3/8 inches of handle. There's your lock engagement, rock solid, perfect centering. Condition, we will say, like new, wrong pouch. These are currently available at your favorite internet knife store. It'll be $175 plus tax, brand new. We ran this one at $135 last week. Got no takers. Dropped it to $115 for the weekend. Still here. This week, $100. Like it is, $125 with an Apostle P edge. That's the Kizer T1. Next up, another one from Kizer. This is going to come in just the pouch, no other material with it. It is the KI 4545 Genie in carbon fiber. A very interesting sort of shred carbon fiber, I must say. A mildly gear pattern titanium backspacer, milled titanium clip, right hand tip up only. I guess we'll call this a front flipper. Let's see. Holy cow. Son of a gun. S35VN blade. That is 3 7/16 inches long, kind of a modified sheep's foot. We have a stainless steel liner lock and a 4 3/8 inch handle. Ball bearing front flipper, and the lockup is rock solid. And let's see, how's the centering? Well, would perfect be okay? Looks like that's what we got. So Genie, the name of the knife, is German for genius, believe it or not. This Genie retails, internet retail, for $158, brand new, and I believe they're in stock. We ran this one last week at 120 bucks, didn't sell, dropped it to 100 for the weekend. It's still here. Let's do $85 on this one. 110 if you'd like it with an ApostleP edge. It's the Kizer Genie carbon fiber. Next up, got one from a brand with which I was not familiar. And it's going to come in a Civivi pouch, no other packaging. It is not a Civivi knife. It is an off-grid knife, and this is their Scorpion Stratus version 1. So it's a titanium frame lock knife with a steel inserted lock face. We have a spring titanium pocket clip that's going to be tip up ambidextrous. Got some carbon fiber inlays, and it must be heavily milled out. Is it? Wow, it's really not, but it seems very light for its size. Got a ball bearing pivot and a flipper. Whoops, it works a lot better than that, trust me. There we go. Kind of an interesting stylized spear point. Blade steel is S35VN. I believe the version 2, this is a version 1, the version 2 is M390. Okay, so this is a version 1, 3 13/16 blade, 4 7/8 handle. Lockup is rock solid. Action's beautiful. Centering is very slightly off as I'm looking at it. Well, let's see if we can bring it in, shall we? Let's just see. There we go. Did I have to do that to this knife last week? I don't know. So as I said, the M390 versions are now selling at $217. I think these were about $190. And let's see, we ran this one last week at $140, then we dropped it to $120 for the weekend. Let's do $100 this week. And $125 if you'd like it with my edge on it. That is the off-grid Scorpion Stratus version 1. Next up, we have an interesting little double detent slip joint. It is not a Civivi, but that's the packaging you're going to get. It's from Zero Tolerance. It's the ZT0235. So double detent slip joint, no spring. It's just detents that hold it closed, and then at half stop, and they are crisp detents, and one that holds it all the way open. And it takes a considerable amount of effort to break that thing off the detent. So you got beautiful carbon fiber handle, blue hard anodized aluminum backspacer with a lanyard hole, and then you got the CPM 20 CV blade, 2 5/8 inches of blade, full flat ground, looks like 1/8 inch stock, but nice taper, thin at the edge. You've got a reversible tip up deep carry clip, 4-finger grip. I believe the pivot's a ball bearing, I think. Beautiful centering. And we'll say it's near mint to like new, no box. Price of these brand new at your favorite web retailer should be $204. We ran this one at $160 last week. Dropped it to $140 for the weekend. This week, $120. $120 like it is $145 with an ApostleP edge. The ZT0235. And that brings us to the fresh stuff tonight. We're going to start it off with a Benchmade. The knife inside this box is the 300-1401 ball axis flipper. So this is the original ball flipper from Benchmade, except the FDE G10 has been replaced with this very interesting black and tan with the large anso pattern milling. Polished tip-up ambidextrous deep carry clip. So I got a ball bearing pivot, or do I? No, I got a phosphor bronze pivot. And just the normal axis detent. So flipping action on these was never stellar. Just so you know. But it works quite well. You've got a D2 blade, which was an upgrade over the standard 154 cm at the time. 3 1/8 inches of blade, 4 1/4 handle. Lockup is rock solid, as most axis locks are. The centering is pretty much dead. If it favors the right, it would be very slightly so. Condition, we will say near mint in box. These are discontinued, not a stock. When they were available, they were $153 map pricing at your favorite internet store. They've been out of inventory and out of stock and discontinued for a long time. But there's one recent sale on eBay, and that knife did $174. I think that's an anomaly. Let's do 110 on this one. 135 with an ApostleP edge. That is the Benchmade 300-1401 ball axis flipper. Next up, we have reached Save Me From Myself moment number 1 tonight. The knife you're going to get comes in a Kizer pouch. It is not a Kizer. It is the Spyderco Delica FFG with titanium handle and Damascus blade. You're going to get a 4-way clip that is standard Spyderco fair polished, all bright hardware, and then that beauty. This is VG10 Damascus, so it is a VG10 core, and then your secondary steels, you can see from the cross section at the spine, they're just on the outside. So at the point of attack, it's going to be all VG10. Lockup is dead rock solid. Action is hydraulic. Centering is dead. Condition is near mint. No box. So these are currently out of stock, but I believe Knife Center has them in pre-order status for $213. eBay sold listings, wow, kind of a popular unavailable knife. Sold listings on eBay run between $213 and $305. Let's do this one at $170, like it is. $195 with an ApostleP edge. Cool knife. It's kind of like the flagship Delica, isn't it? Beauty. Next up, we have another Spyderco. This one's going to come in a Civivi pouch. It is a G10 Dragonfly. This one wearing OD green G10, fully steel lined, ambidextrous tip up, deep carry paperclip clip. And then you got your Dragonfly blade. VG10, you guys know this knife. Rock solid lockup. Nice action. Perfect centering. I'm going to say near mint, no box. Current pricing for these is $129 map. So that will be your website price, wherever you like to shop. Let's do this one at $85 like it is. $105 with an ApostleP edge. That is the Spyderco Dragonfly 2 OD G10. Next up, guys, you're not going to have too many more opportunities on this particular knife. This is a Spyderco. It's going to come in a Civivi pouch. But I know that the Military 2 is about ready to rock. This is a murdered military. And I don't know if you can see the G10, but it's got that brand new feel and look to it. So this is a murdered military. S30V blade, 4 1/16 or 4 1/8 inches in length. 5.5 handle. It is a stainless steel liner lock. This one locking up pretty early. It is rock solid. Let's see. Not quite a free dropper as it's currently adjusted. I'll guarantee it could be. Blade centering is perfect. But let's see. Doesn't really need to be any looser than that. Condition on this Millie will be like new, no box. Soon to be discontinued, I'm thinking. Current web retail for this knife is $252. Let's do this one at $195 like it is $220 with an TheApostleP edge. Spyderco, military, murdered. Next up, you know, sometimes cold steel just does the coolest things. And this would be one of those times. I remember when this model came out in its original form, you're going to get this in a wee pouch, but it is a cold steel knife. So I remember when the Formax came out, what were they, like a couple $100 or more? This one is scaled in, wait for it, Qvist, which would be like Grivery, but cold steel. Not paying to license that name. So a beautifully stippled set of Qvist scales. And then you get this big honking blade, OS 10A, beautifully stonewashed. 4 inches of blade, 5 15/16 inches of handle, so lots of handle. By the way, it's called the Formax Scout. Let's see, it's got a triad lock. Does it lock up solid? What do you think? Nice, smooth action on phosphor bronze washers. Centering on this one, man, it's pretty perfect, I think. We'll say it is like new, maybe near mint. I couldn't really find a mark on it. By the way, you get one clip. It is ambidextrous tip up. But here's the cool thing, guys. The price of these, brand new, is only $90 web retail. That's like half price from a G10 Formax without giving up much. Let's do 70 on this one. 95 with an TheApostleP edge. The Cold Steel Formax Scout. Next up, we've got the first of 2 of these tonight in different configurations. This is not a Civivi. It is a Boker Plus Urban Trapper, I think, in the most appealing configuration. So you still get titanium frame lock, essentially, very thick titanium liner lock with revealed edges. You get a titanium spring deep carry clip that'll be right hand tip up only. You get, I love the sound of it. It has this hydraulic stop. So Brad Zinker design, muskrat clip blade that really looks like a hand rubbed satin. If it's not, I'd be shocked. Blade steel is VG10. Blade length is 3.5. Handle is 4 3/16, so very efficient blade to handle ratio. There is the lock engagement. No steel insert, is there? No steel insert. Rock solid lockup. Beautiful action. The centering on this one, I wrote perfect, but it might be off to the right a little, which means you could probably loosen the pivot and it would be right there. We'll say near mint, no box. Price of these brand new is $128 web retail. Let's do $90 on this one. $115 if you'd like it with an TheApostleP edge. That's the Boker Plus Urban Trapper, and your description will say Coco because of the Coco Bolo scales and titanium. Next up, I have another Civivi pouch without a Civivi knife. This one is from Lionsteel. So this is kind of the improved version of the SR2A, which had nylon washers and an integral aluminum handle. This one is a ball bearing flipper. It's called the SR22A. So you have a 3 15/16 inch handle made of 6061 T6 aircraft aluminum, black hard anodized. You have a satin finished deep carry clip that'll be ambidextrous tip up. You have the roto block mechanism, which when engaged will stop you from disengaging the lock bar. You got a steel inserted aluminum frame lock, which works just fine. Whoops. A little bit of a soft detent, but if you don't misfire like I did, just fine. Sleipner is your blade steel. 3 1/8 inches of blade. There's your lock engagement. Early, but solid. By the way, convex edge on the SR22. Perfectly centered. Condition, near mint, no box. Price of these is $154 web retail. Let's do $120 on this one, $145 with an ApostleP edge. The Lionsteel SR22A. Next up, I have a Kizer pouch that holds a Kizer knife, no outer packaging. The model is the KI 4456A3 clutch. A nice titanium frame lock with natural canvas micarta inlays that are beautifully mill textured. I have a stainless steel insert at the lock face. I got a lanyard hole. I got a milled titanium pocket clip that'll be right hand tip up. And I got a ball bearing flipper. Superb flipping action. Two-tone blade. Horizontal satin on the flats. Stonewash in the primary bevels. S35 VN is your steel. 3 3/8 inches blade length. And then 4 1/2 inches of handle. Can you creep up? Nah, probably not if you like your index finger. Okay. Interesting blade shape. Kind of a trailing point sheep's foot. There's your lock engagement. It's rock solid. Nice bearings. Super smooth. Super centered. Near mint to like new in pouch only. Price of these brand new at your favorite web retailer. I think they're a buy at $110 web retail, but we're going to do this one at $85 like it is, and then $110 if you'd like it with an ApostleP edge. It's the Kizer KI 4456A3 clutch. Next up, I have a knife with no box, no pouch, no nothing. Poor thing. It's from Kizer. It is the Kizer V3566N1 Swayback. This Swayback is in purple G10. Let's see. Slightly crowned. Blasted satin finish. It is a button lock knife. Detent is nice. The Swayback blade is in N690 bowler. 3 inches of blade. 4 inches of handle. Your pocket clip will be ambidextrous. Tip up. Ball bearing pivot. Super nice. And blade is centered. Lock up. Rock solid. We will say this one is near mint to like new. No box. Price of these brand new at your favorite internet retailer is $59. Good luck finding purple. Let's do $40 shipped priority mail. All in. $65 if you'd like it with an ApostleP edge. The Kizer V3566N1 Swayback. Next up, another Kizer that comes in pouch only. This one we've seen many of over the years on the ApostleP knife style. This is the KI 3499 Feist. I think this knife is what made me famous as a horrible front flipper. As a matter of fact, let's see if I've gotten any better. Nope, I still suck. So the Feist S35 VN blade kind of a worn cliff, 2 13/16 inches in length. You got a 3 5/8 handle. It is a super smooth and shimmery titanium stick, which works great in the human hand. Steel inserted titanium frame lock, milled titanium pocket clip, right hand tip up only. There is your lock engagement. It's dead rock solid. Super smooth bearings. Centered blade. Condition on the Feist, near mint to like new, in pouch. Price of these at your favorite internet retailer will be $168, or you could just buy this one, $120 all in, shipped, priority mail, $145 with an Apostle P edge. That's the Kizer Feist. Next up, I have a knife from Civivi. It's going to come in a Qvist pouch. Now, I could have switched these and put the Civivi in a Civivi, but I don't have a Qvist, and I thought, you know, it kind of works aesthetically, so I left it. This is the Civivi Isham McKenna in OD G10. I think it comes in some other colors. So here you go. OD green G10 scales, very interesting texture. There's actually a little milling going on here, believe it or not. See it? Pocket clip is going to be deep carry, blackened, tip up, ambidextrous. It is a ball bearing front flipper. Look at that, I front flipped. Woo! D2 blade, 2 7/8 inches long, 3 13/16 inches a handle. I got a stainless steel liner lock. Solid. Beautifully smooth bearing action. Now, that blade is either perfectly centered or slightly off to the right. Depends on how my eye hits it at any given opening. We'll call it near mint to like new in the wrong pouch. Price of this knife is shockingly low, brand new, $48 web retail. We're going to do this one, though, at $35 all in, shipped, priority mail. So you're not paying any postage, not paying any sales tax. $35 all in, then $60 with an Apostle P edge. The blade is D2, by the way. The Civivi Isham McKenna in OD green. Next up, we've got a Kizer pouch that carries a Kizer knife. No outer packaging. This is the Kizer V3569A2 October. Interesting knife. Of course, it's a chunky, sheepsy footy looking thing. It is scaled in red linen, micarta. The clip will be deep carry, right hand only. Look at that. Nice forward choil. Blade is CPM 20 CV. Its length is 2 15/16. The handle is 4 3/16. We got a stainless steel liner lock mechanism on a ball bearing pivot. Rock solid lockup. It'll be drop shutty. Yep. Blade centering is dead. Can you open it with the hole? You bet. We will say near mint in pouch, no outer packaging. Price of the October brand new is $129 web retail. You can buy this one at $90, like it is. $115 if you'd like it with an Apostle P edge. That's the Kizer October. Next up, I have one from Qvist, and of course it's going to come in a Civivi pouch. This is the Qvist variant PE. I don't know which version it is. So PE means production edition from Qvist, because I guess there must be some custom Qvist variants coming out of the Chinese factory. I don't know. Anyhow, you got black G10 scales. You got a tip up deep carry clip that will be right hand only. It's not really a front flipper. It opens with a square-ish, I don't know what you call it. It looks like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Anyway, it's a hole and a ball bearing pivot. So this would be the inexpensive version of the variant. Stainless steel liner lock, 14C28N blade, 3 inches of blade length on the worn foot sheep's cliff, 4 inches of handle, rock solid lockup on the liner lock. Of course, the action's beautiful on the ball bearings. Can we see the blade centering? It is way down in there, but the tip of that blade is dead in the middle of that hourglass standoff. So we will say near mint to like new. No box, just a Civivi pouch. These are out of stock. When they were available, they were just $69 web retail. Let's do this one at $45 like it is. $70 with an ApostleP edge. That's the Qvist variant PE. Next up, it's time for a Finch. And that's exactly what we got. Let's see, does it say anything here? Yeah. It's the Finch Cherry Bomb with black and white smoke resin scales and a 154 cm blade. Very interesting knife. I got to turn the page so I can tell you about it. Check it out, boys. So this is a stainless steel bolster lock, I guess. We could call it a frame lock, but we won't. What do you think of that black and white smoke scale? Interesting. Kind of reminds me of Little Joe's horse. You got to be pretty old to get that reference. So I've got a stainless steel bolster lock knife, but I have a milled titanium pocket clip that's going to be right-hand tip up. I do have a ball bearing flipper. 2 5/8 inches of 154 cm, and we got some scratches in the blade face, just so you know. Uh, 3 5/8 handle. There is your lock engagement. It is rock solid. Super smooth ball bearings. Beautifully centered blade. We will say near mint in box, blade scratches noted, and the blade has been used and sharpened. You know, let's call it excellent in box because it's got some scratches. Web price for this Finch Cherry Bomb is $135. On this one, let's do $95 like it is, $120 with an ApostleP edge. That's the Finch Cherry Bomb. Next up, we got one from Lionsteel, and I think Mike Latham, Collector Knives, had a hand in the design of this knife, although it is available elsewhere besides Collector Knives. And it is the Lionsteel Bestman, the 2-blade variety. So it's going to be an equal end, opposite end fusion jackknife. Titanium bolsters, titanium liners, steel back springs, and Santos wood covers. Look a lot like Coca-Cola, but they're Santos wood. Okay, blade set, and it is a half-stop slip joint, is a clip point main, cut swedge, sort of long-ish pulls on both sides. Secondary blade is a Warney. Also cut swedge, pulls on both sides. You got 3 3/4 inches of closed length. Pull weight 7. This does have the internal stop pin instead of using a kick, so the sound isn't optimal, but it is what it is. I know you guys want to know that. Tool centering is pretty daggone close. No center liner, as you can see. We'll call it like new in box. Price of the 2-blade Bestman in Santos wood is $160 web retail. Let's do this one at $120, like it is. $155 with an ApostleP edge on both blades. That's a deal right there. This is the Lionsteel Bestman 2-blade version in Santos wood. Next up, got one from a company we just don't see enough of, Fallkniven And this is kind of an entry-level Fallkniven knife. It is the U2 in L-Max. The handle material they call Grilon, G-R-I-L-O-N. So I guess it's an FRN product. Very fine stippling. Got a little spear point blade that I just fingerprinted up. The steel on this one is L-Max. The blade length is 2.5. It's a mid-lock mechanism. Rock solid lockup. Nice blade action. Centering does favor the right slightly, but it kind of fills up the whole blade well. It's been used and touched up. Could use a little more work. We'll call it near mint in box. Price of these brand new at your favorite internet website would be $98 plus tax and probably postage. This one you can have all in. No tax and postage paid priority. $70 like it is. $95 with an ApostleP edge. That's the Fallkniven U2. Next up, got one from Boker Plus. Got a box, got a pouch inside the box. Inside the pouch, you have a knife. Interesting little blade from Boker Plus. So they call this the double detent Barlow. That's the name of the model, I believe. So I'm not sure why it's a Barlow other than the sort of teardroppy shape of the handle, but there's no faux bolster of any kind. Just beautifully blasted and crowned G10. Actually, it's faceted just a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Pretty cool. Clip is going to be polished stainless steel, ambidextrous tip up. And it's a ball bearing flipper, but misfire. There is no lock. It's a double detent knife with no half stop. That was a little baby flip. Pretty cool. Then that initial detent is plenty fine if you don't suck at flipping. Pretty cool knife. 20 CV blade, 2 11/16 inches long. Swedged spear. And the handle is 3 7/16. We'll call it near mint to like new in box. Price of these brand new is $90 web retail, plus tax and shipping probably. Let's do on this one, $70 all in, shipped priority mail. $95 if you like it with my edge. That's the Boker Plus double detent Barlow. Next, we have reached the Rob's pick for tonight's sale, which means the guys on my early bird list have not seen this one if it's before 9 o'clock when this video went live. It's from ProTech. It's a DLT exclusive. The model is DLT.Malibu.7. It's got the textured tan aluminum handle, stonewashed M390 reverse Tonto blade. That, guys, is the best looking Malibu I've ever seen. That handle is sweet. Everything is kind of acid stonewashed, except the clip, which is deep carry right hand tip up only. It's a ball bearing pivot button lock manual that works just fine. This blade on the DLT exclusive is M390, 3 5/16 inches in length. The handle is 4 3/16, so super efficient blade to handle ratio. It has been used and touched up, and it could probably use a little more refined edge, but it's pretty sharp. Lockup is rock solid. Action is ball bearing sweet. Centering is ProTech perfect. Condition near mint in box. These are out of stock. You don't even want to know what they were when they were new. This one will cost you $240 like it is, $270 with an ApostleP edge. It's kind of like It's funny because the hottest ProTech model on the planet is a manual knife, but the Malibu is just so sweet as a pocket knife. If you don't own one, you need to. So it's ProTech DLT.Malibu.7. I'm sorry, the ProTech DLT.Malibu.7 Malibu, 240 like it is, 270 with my edge. The Rob's pick. Next up, we got one from the Benchmade Knife Company. It's the 565-1 Mini Super Freak. Carbon fiber handle, red aluminum hard anodized standoffs and studs, Parkerized split arrow clip, ambidextrous tip up, axis lock mechanism, phosphor bronze washers on the pivot, S90V blade, rock solid lockup. Not quite a free dropper, but let's see, can you fling it? You bet. Rock solid. And perfect centering. You got 3 inches of blade, 4 inches of handle, solid carbon fiber. It's been used and sharpened. Well, somebody tried. Definitely not over sharpened, definitely not well sharpened, but nothing an Apostle P job wouldn't fix in short order. We will say near mint in box. I'd call it like new if it weren't for the sharpening, just so you know. Price of these, brand new, internet web retail, $306. How about we do $235 on this one? $275 with an Apostle P edge. Benchmade 565-1 Mini Super Freak. Next up, got one from Spyderco, Golden, Colorado, USA, Earth. It's the Manix 2 lightweight in black. The black FR on handle with the volcano grip, the ambidextrous tip-up wire clip, the caged ball bearing lock, the leaf-shaped blade in Carpenter CTS BD1 steel, beautiful stone wash. Let's see, 0 blade play in that 3 3/8 blade, super smooth action. Blade centering is just about dead, but I think it favors the right slightly. We will say it's near mint in box. Price of this knife, brand new at your favorite web retailer, will be $128. Let's do this one at $100, shipped priority mail. $125 with an Apostle P edge. That's the Manix 2 lightweight in black and a stone-washed blade. Next up, our first of two from the Chris Reeve Knives organization. It is a small Incosi with black canvas micarta inlays, a Tanto blade, and the steel is CPM Magna Cut. Love the inlay pattern. Lanyard still attached. Very, very little carry wear. Like about 0. Can I even find a mark on this knife? I don't know that I can. So let's see. Yeah, an Incosi that is well tuned. And there's your Magna Cut Tanto blade. Dual studs. There is your lock engagement. That's pretty early for a ceramic ball lock interface on a Chris Reeve product. It is dead rock solid. Super smooth. Perfectly centered. Yeah. So, let's see. If you bought this knife brand new, which you can't because they don't have any, it'd be months. It'll be $525 web retail. And yeah, I know. How about we do on this one? And I'm going to say it is very near mint in box. Very slight trails. Like, I can't even remember where they were, so slight. 485, like it is. 515 with an ApostleP edge. That's in your inventory as Chris Reeve Small and Cosi Tanto, Black Micarta, and Magna Cut. Next up, another definite save me from myself moment. Because I don't have one, and I like, you guys know, I've always wanted a knife with hummingbird acrylic. I bought one once and somebody had to have it and I sold it. It's a Great Eastern Cutlery Titty knife. Model 871223. It's an English jack in hummingbird acrylic. Oh, yes. Not a small knife. It's kind of like the 78 American Jack and the 65 Ben Hogan had a baby. And it's not a small baby. 4 7/16 inches of closed length. Plain bolsters and end caps in nickel silver. Bomb shield and gorgeous hummingbird acrylic. Okay, but it gets better. Half stop slip joint. Look at that gorgeous clip point main. Long pull, cut swedge. Satin finish, no etch on the show side. I do have a little Patty's potato peelers etch going on the pile side. Nice snap, guys. 7 pull, beautiful walk and talk. Then I got that big, huge usable pen blade. And let's see, tool centering. The main is about perfect, and the secondary is too. The main might favor the right as you're looking at it, but if it does, it's super slight. Near mint in tube. How about we do 160 like it is? 190, I sharpen both blades. GEC Titty number 87 English Jack, gorgeous pocket knife. Next up, I think this is only the second one of these we've ever had on the sale. It's from Winter Blade, and it is the Mirage. So it's got what they call a magnetic assist. And I'm not sure how it exactly works. This looks a lot like an axis lock, but it's not really. It's called the Winter Blade M lock. So that's how you release the lock. And notice that the mechanism is only on one side. Did you see that? So by pulling that back and giving a little wrist, bang. Let's see. You can almost do it just with the button. But it doesn't take much. That's so cool. Certainly a ball bearing pivot. Let's see how everything looks inside. Anywho, cool blade. M390 is your blade steel. The length of the blade's 2 13/16. The handle's 4 1/8. I'm not sure what to call liner, but I guess it has carbon fiber liners and titanium scales. A polished, I'm assuming, titanium backspacer, but I don't know that for sure. It's etched Winter Blade and M390. Lockup is dead rock solid. Action is ball bearing sweet. Centering's perfect. The clip is going to be milled titanium right hand tip up only. These are out of stock new. Sold listings on eBay are running between $510 and $545. I think there were just 2 of them. This one, $425 like it is. $455 with an ApostleP edge. That's the Winter Blade Mirage. Next up, got one from MBK, Monterey Bay Knives. It is the Mini Old Guard. Probably their most prolific model. So we got some titanium scales, crowned and looks like sort of blasted and tumbled. There's almost an orange peel going on. Clip is milled titanium right-hand tip-up only. The blade needs wiped. There we go. I know you guys are probably a lot more fingerprint anal than I am, but in this case, I just had to because I wanted you to see that this is a Sanmai blade. See the demarcation line about a 1/4 inch up from the cutting edge. Sanmai ZDP 189 on the mini old guard, 3 inches of blade, 4 1/16 inches of handle. I said ball bearings, but these are phosphor bronze washers on this knife. And super sweet. Interesting thing is, you would think they would make a titanium frame lock, but this is a stainless steel liner lock. There's your lock engagement. It's rock solid. Super silky smooth action. Centering's down the middle. These are out of stock at $215. I found one sold listing on eBay for $215. And I think they've been gone for a while. So, This one though, let's do $150 like it is. $175 with an ApostleP edge. That's the Monterey Bay Mini Old Guard. Next up, here's a knife that I hope we haven't forgotten how cool they are. So, it's a Ferrum Forge knife. Comes with the old dog tag. Made in 2015. It's the N-Tac. So this is a US made, custom production, semi-custom, semi-production, original Ferrum Forge knife. Diamond pattern, bronze anodized titanium handle. Titanium spring clip. And you're going to see a little burnishing on the corners. This knife has not been a safe queen, but it hasn't been abused either. Might be a fine scratch in the clip if I can get the light to hit it right there. So, steel inserted titanium frame lock with the Hoback rolling detent. And those of you who don't know, you'll never see the Hoback rolling detent in any of the Chinese-made Ferrum Forge knives, right? Only on their U.S. hand-assembled knives. It is a ball bearing flipper, and it's one of the best of its time. Still great. A drop point blade in Bowler N690 with kind of an interesting finish. There's definitely a bead blast, there's definitely some acid, and there's definitely a tumble in that blade's history. 2 15/16 is your blade length, 3 3/16 is the handle length. There's the engagement of your steel inserted titanium lock. It is rock solid. Centering is dead. Action is perfect. It has been used and sharpened, and it probably could use sharpening again. Thin behind the edge for what looks like kind of a chunky blade, by the way. So, slight carry wear, used and sharpened. These are out of stock. When they were available, web price was $525, web new, and they are long gone. Your price on this one, $425 like it is, $450 with an ApostleP edge. That's the Ferrum Forge N-Tac. Next up, I teased you guys heavily about this one yesterday. I sure did. From CKF Custom Knife Factory, we have a knife. The card says it's the Eagle Rock. Now, here's something I wish they would do a little differently. On the card, they list the designer, Bob Terzola. Blade steel could be any of these three, S90V, S110V, or Damascus. The handle could have any of this stuff. Titanium, zirconium, carbon fiber, Damascus, zircotite, micarta, or wood. Now, guys, how hard would it be to put check boxes on here? Or I don't know. Anyway, this was made in March of this year. It's a really cool knife, by the way. So what we have here is some beautiful, I don't know if that's marble carbon fiber, but it's gorgeous, titanium bolsters, Damascus pivot collars, a milled titanium clip that is beautifully and thinly milled. It's going to be right-hand tip up. I can open this with a flipper. I can open it with the thumb disc, and the flipper doesn't hit my finger. It's a ball bearing pivot. It's a titanium liner lock. Just look at this blade. Compound ground, acid stonewashed, S110V, the Bobby T maker's mark. That is just a stunning piece of work right there. It is. Rock solid lockup, 4 5/16 inches of blade, 5 7/16 inches of handle. Lockup is perfect. Action is perfect. Centering is perfect. Condition, like new, in pouch. These are out of stock new. I did find one sold listing on eBay that did $750. I believe it was a black blade and bolster version. This one can be yours at $6.95, shipped priority mail, $7.25 with an ApostleP edge. That is the CKF Eagle Rock Carbon Fiber S110V. Next up, if you thought the last one was cool, just wait, boys. Just wait. We have one from north of the border, and I teased you about this last night. It's a Grimsmo, and it's my favorite Canadian knife ever. It sure is. I've got oil and stuff in the box and a wrench. This is kind of sad. The birth card got wet. It says, acid stonewash tumbled, serial number 833. I'm not sure what it said next to the titanium. It must say blue anodized. Ice blue. Silver hardware. Oh, it's the Rask. It's the Rask. Oh, there's your ice blue tumbled titanium. Oh, yeah. There's your milled titanium right-hand tip-up clip. Super discreet stainless steel inserted titanium lock bar. Beautiful little flipper. And then a deeply acid stonewash blade. And it is RWL34 cryo heat treated. Super thin behind the edge, guys. I mean super thin. Oh. Pretty nice factory edge too, I gotta say. So yeah, 3 7/16 blade, 4 5/8 handle. There's your lock engagement. It's rock solid. Oh, guys. Ball bearing action is to die for. The centering is perfect. I'm going to say it's near mint to like new in box. These are out of stock. And if you look at the sold listings on eBay, they ain't a one of them that's sold for under $1,000. Not a one. Unless one popped up in the last day. Your price on this one? $845, like it is, $875 with an ApostleP edge. It's the Grimsmo Rask number 833. Next up, our second and final offering from the Chris Reeve Knife Company. It's a large Sebenza 31 PJ, plain Jane. Here you go. Oh, by the way, it's in CPM MagnaCut. Yeah. So just some very slight trails going on in the handle. A little bit of carry wear evidence on the clip. The lanyard is in the box. I think it's still assembled to the pin. It's an Insingo. Single-sided thumb stud. Has it been sharpened? I don't think it has. That's a pretty good Chris Reeve edge. Okay, so here's the deal on this one, guys, because it's going to be less money than you expect. when I opened it up and started using it, I noticed that the action didn't feel quite right, and the pivot was not tight. It was set less than tight, which is incorrect, and there was some Loctite on it. So I thought, well, let me tighten it down and see what I got. It was horrible. So one of the washers, the large washer, has been assembled incorrectly and distorted. I did a little quick polish, but it's still not perfect. And right now it is set with the pivot less than tight. Whoops. So it either needs me to sharpen it and tune it, or it needs to go back to the mothership and have some new washers fitted. But blade centering on it is really good. It might be perfect as I've got it set, but there's a little pivot issue, just so you know. So I'm going to call this excellent in box. And so these are out of stock when they were available, and when they are available again, they'll be $500 web retail, and you can't buy a new one. And it is MagnaCut. Your price on this one, $450, like it is, $485. I will sharpen it and tune it to the best of my ability to get it to behave right with the pivot tightened down. I'm not going to guarantee I can get it like I like to, because 31s sometimes suck to tune. Just saying. Anyhow, $450 is still a buy. I mean a heck of a buy on this knife. And $485 with my edge and tune. That's the large Sebenza 31 in Singo and MagnaCut. Next up, we have a ProTech knife. And it is the second Malibu in tonight's sale. This is a 5202 Malibu flipper with the black handle and the acid stonewashed reverse Tanto 20 CV blade. Yep. So smooth black hard anodized aluminum and acid stonewashed button screws and a black deep carry right hand tip up pocket clip. There is your acid stonewash blade in 20 CV, 3 5/16 inches in length, 4 3/16 handle. This one's got the factory edge on it. No evidence of any edge wear. Lockup is rock solid. The ball bearing action is awesome. And the centering is like pretty much every other ProTech you've ever seen. Near mint in box. Your price on this one, $220 like it is. $250 with an ApostleP edge. That's the ProTech 5202 Malibu. It is the Grand Prairie Knives exclusive, by the way. Can't buy a new one. Next up, save me from myself moment. What is it, number 3 tonight? It's a Benchmade. It's a bug out, and it is the 535 BK-4, which I just sharpened one of yesterday, and I didn't want to mail it back. There you go, guys. What a stunner. 3D machine, sunburst milled, hard anodized but natural finish aluminum scales, Parkerized shorty deep carry clip, red studs, red standoffs, and a Cerakote blade in Bowler M390. What is not to love there? Rock solid lockup, free dropping blade, perfectly centered. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm going to say near mint to like new in box. Currently available for map price of $270 at your favorite retailer. I think that's just too doggone high. Let's do $225 like it is, $255 with my edge. That's the 535 BK-4 bug out from Benchmade. Next up, this is the only ZT Sinkovich design that I don't hate. I'm just saying. We're going bold with a zero tolerance, ZT0470. It's kind of a little tuxedo knife. I love it. Isn't that cool? I mean, it's just cool. is completely unconventional in its aesthetic and in its shape, but it works. So titanium frame lock, steel inserted, deep carry, blackened pocket clip that will be ambidextrous. It's a ball bearing flipper. My fingers are on the lock bar. No death lock. 20 CV blade. It is 3 5/16 inches in length, 4 3/8 handle. There's your lock engagement. There your carbon fiber inlay. Whoops. And let's see. Pretty drop shutty. And it's perfectly centered. I think that backspacer is hard anodized aluminum. I believe that's what it feels like. Nice pocket knife. There is one tiny clip scratch I wrote. Where is it? Now I cannot find it. It's right there. You can't see it. It is tiny. So near mint in box. Currently available for web retail or map pricing, minimum advertised pricing of $230. This one can be yours at $185 like it is. $215 with an TheApostleP Edge, the ZT0470. And that, my friends, brings us to the last knife in this evening's sale extravaganza. It's a real beast. It is from Zero Tolerance and R.J. Martin. It's the ZT0609. And I love it. I've never owned one. Oh my. Look at the milling. Look at the bronze anodizing. Look at the raised boss for the pocket clip attachment. It's got sort of a, I don't know, a skinny clip. Ambidextrous tip up. You got the hollow pivot. See my hand pass through the pivot. It's so cool. It's a ball bearing flipper. Flips beautifully. Like it feels like it propels. Blade steel, 20 CV. Stonewash flats, satin everywhere else. 3 3/8 inches of blade, 4 1/4 handle. Titanium frame lock with steel insert. Locks up thusly. The ball bearing pivot works really well. It's perfectly centered. I think I see some fine scratches around the pivot, like somebody tried to adjust it without springing for the tool. But we're going to call it near mint in box. These are discontinued, not a stock. Last price available when they were still available was $230. Let's do this one at $190 like it is, $220 with an TheApostleP Edge. That's the ZT0609 by R.J. Martin. That, my friends, brings us to the end of another weekly knife sale on the TheApostleP channel. Hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. Good to be back in my normal routine. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Remember, the word is sharp. Now go get you some deals.